Alrighty then, it's time for a Jungle Jax game, and yes, this is Say to Devour Jax. This one. Thing is, I didn't actually want to be Say to Devour Jax for this one. Shit, too. Thing is, Say to Devour is not the most reliable item to be building on any champion. It's a big time gamble. You're basically banking on your late game or for you to be really fed and having it charge rather early. Now, the runes I'm taking are Attack Damage Red, Attack Damage Quince, Armor Yellow, Cooldown Reduction Blues, and 2190 Masteries. Now, I gotta warn you, in this early game, I suck so much ass that my lips are still brown and green. It just really, really sucked. Either way, I'll use this time to talk about Jungle Jax because a lot of people are actually asking me about him. And the only reason I picked him is because people kept, asking. So, the thing about Jax is that he's a very interesting jungler. He has the tools that a jungler would want. He has an almost on-demand AoE stun, although the cooldown is very restrictive. He's got a gap closer with quite a bit of range on it, and it helps deliver his stun. His W is a swing reset that provides a big amount of damage, and his cooldown is very admirable. And his passive really works in conjunction with pretty much every jungle item you could want. The problem is that he has a huge dependency on gold. And his ultimate also doesn't really do much or anything to alleviate that issue. He's just a very, very needy champion. And at the same time, he's very reliant on his builds. It's very difficult to take Jax and alter his build mid-game. It's like you gotta be dedicated as to what you're trying to build on him or else you're gonna flounder. And that actually is a huge deal for a jungler. Junglers tend to have the ability to switch builds midway. And it doesn't help that I'm going to be building Devourer. I originally wanted Warrior or a Cinderhulk because those two items help alleviate this issue that Jax has. Cinderhulk Jax isn't particularly good, and you end up using him more as some kind of initiator. But at the same time, he does do a bit of respectable damage if you let him just hit you over the head with his empowered ultimate and his W. So there's some merit to it, although it's not considerable. And Warrior is just AD. It's just some power to his auto attacks and bashing your brains in. It's good, and it's almost most of the time better on Jax because you gotta have a strong mid game as junglers like him. Junglers you want to involve in skirmishes and whatnot. Devour, like I ended up building, Devour is all about that gamble. You're gambling and putting all your chips in for the late game. Late game, Say to Devour, is way stronger than Warrior Jax. So that's what I kind of figured. Like the game seems to be really going both ways. And my ganks haven't really been working out because I fucked them up and bad things happened. Like I said, my early game sucked a lot and it was my fault. But the lanes aren't going to drastically one way or another. So I figured maybe I'll have a chance to farm up and make my Say to Devour actually really valuable. But you'll see the problem with that soon enough. Now, as I said, Jungle Jax in itself works. It's definitely a champion you could play and it could even carry, but as a jungler, your gold intake is a lot more limited than your lane counterparts. So Jungle Jax is inferior to lane Jax simply because you won't get to the same level as the lane Jax would at the same amount of time. Jungle Jax is considerably and by a large margin slower than lane Jax. Because the jungle items, even though the Devour can be pretty good later on, slow you down a lot. As I said earlier, Jax is very reliant on his money, and he's very reliant on his build. And the jungle items aren't exactly something he really likes. So you kind of just don't want to invest in them at all, and you're kind of forced to. So Jungle Jax, I like I said, I'm pretty mixed on him. If you guys remember in season 3 and even some in season 4, I actually played a lot of Jungle Jax. It got to the point where people complained that I had too many Jungle Jax games uploaded. You can still go to my YouTube channel and search on the search bars and put in Jax, and you'll find several dozen of them. He can carry games. Let's just say that. He can carry games. He has super strong late game potential. So if your teammates suck, you can just rely on yourself. Like, when it comes to surrendering, I try to push people to surrender if the enemy team has better late game. And like in this game, I'm a little bit worried because, as you can see, Olaf is destroying my Shen and even pushing down to the inhibitor tower at this point. He's getting crazy. So I'm thinking to myself that if we can't control the enemy Olaf, he's going to run right through us and kill our important champions. The enemy team isn't so much late game as so much they can counter our champions. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about. Like you can see, Olaf is just running a train on the Shen, so that's where my worry comes from. And we're going to lose our positioning a little bit. We're going to lose our positioning in a little bit. I tell you this because, like I said, the early game isn't too important for this one. The mid game and the late game is where this game takes off. For the summary of the early game, if you guys haven't been paying attention and only just sort of been listening to me, is the early game, my team kept trading kills with the enemy team. My ganks weren't that great. I fucked them up a lot. The enemy top laner pushed down Shen so hard, and we lost all control of our top jungle, and the enemy team has a lot more objective control than we do right now. And we're pretty much at this point losing map control altogether. We've lost all of our outer towers. I'm also pretty behind on my Say to Devour thing because I have to keep showing up to places, and I keep getting forced out. Here, like, I want to get to Scuttle Crab so bad, obviously because of the bonus to my Say to Devour, but Olaf, of course, was there, and he forced a fight with me, and he almost died, but I can't beat him yet. My teammates throw away their lives because they went very, very brave for that tower, and I don't know the actual worth of that, if it was truly worth it, because we're losing the mid tower as well. I fuck up my attempt to catch the enemy Veigar because I didn't know you couldn't leap through his wall. Like, I don't think it has a Z-axis or anything. It just kind of makes it as if you're trying to go through it. So I got stunned and my E failed, and that's pure sadness. So okay, so now we've established my team is losing, and if you look at the replay amount of gold, we're losing by quite a bit. I haven't reached late game mode yet. We're pretty we're having problems killing anybody on their team, and our team fight still is rather uncoordinated. So we're throwing our lives away. Vayne, instead of finishing off the Veigar, tries to chase the Caitlyn, which results in my teammates getting forced away and Veigar not dying and the Soraka getting killed. Vayne doesn't even kill the Caitlyn. In fact, Vayne is going to be chased down and killed by the remaining red team. However, here's an important thing to take note. The enemy red team isn't pushing for any objectives after they've killed us this time. And that's actually going to be a huge problem for them. They're going to get this dragon right now mostly because we can't contest it, but they're going to have several bouts in which they kill us, almost wipe us out completely, and they don't push their advantage. Here, I actually just go up on the Alistar because I'm trying to force out the enemy team to respond ineffectively, and they kind of do. Veigar's stun goes in, and yeah, it ends up killing the Vayne, but the Alistar already had her in control, so the Veigar burned his stun, and it comes off cooldown, but Echo's able to get in there, get a good amount of damage, and I return the fight. Shen teleports on me, and we pick up 2 kills. It was such a messy fight on both parts, but what I'm doing is actually on purpose. I tried to force a team fight there so I can get assists. I intended sort of to die, and I just wanted to tag as many people as I could, and hopefully my teammates would get some kills, because it seems I can't properly farm at this point, and I really am desperate for my State to Devour. I need that power spike, because otherwise I am weak as shit. I'm probably the weakest member of my team right now. I mean, of course, ignoring the fact that we have a support. The support never counts towards this, so I feel like I'm the weakest. The only thing I could possibly do is bait out the enemy CCs and hopefully stun somebody with some crappy initiation. So I'm just waiting for my chance for Caitlyn and Veigar to be in a position in which I can get them both. Alistar initiates, so I use that as my chance, and then I end up getting clipped by the Veigar stun, so that completely fails. Shen managed to catch the Caitlyn. I use everything I can to finish her off. Of course, Echo's the one who picks it up. I go after Veigar, doing everything I can, and of course I end up just getting blown the fuck up. Sorry, gotta clear my voice. And of course we get wiped out. The enemy team only loses 1 member. We lose 4. They push for the inhibitor, and then they push for the next tower, and then they just leave. Or, well, they're forced to leave, but they didn't do this properly. Some of them backed off, the other ones didn't. So we are able to pick up my teammates are able to pick up 2 kills from this because the rest of them just ditched them. This could have been a lot easier if the other 2 homies stood back and provided some sort of support. So now my teammates think, let's force Baron. We're all in on this. So we go for it. Veigar's sticking around, and he's just going to get... You know what's going to happen to him, right? So me and Shen destroy Veigar in like one go. Caitlyn shoots me, doesn't achieve anything from it, and you know Jarvan is lining up to steal this Baron. This is a very important fight. Luckily for my team, I actually managed to smite Sakura right now. Boom. And then we destroy Jarvan. Dead. This is a massive swing for my team, and it's super important. More than just because we are managing to get a few kills and getting Baron, but it's a huge morale booster. We've been getting our asses destroyed, and like some players were just like, oh, starting to yell at each other, oh, you gotta do better, shit, oh, and that helped out a lot. This right here didn't help out too much. I got too cocky. I thought Alistair was putting down wards, so he's willing himself, but he has a Caitlyn next to him, and she just gunned me the fuck down. Shen also didn't manage to kill her, but of course Echo Homie shows up and we'll pick her off right here. Unfortunately, Alistair is going to flash over the wall right now. You can see flash. And he survives. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but it's pretty bad because we can't keep giving him more advantages. I haven't reached Super Jax mode where I just auto-attack everything to death, so I still have to be pretty careful. I'm actually going to gamble and build the Guardian's Angel because the enemy team is pretty bursty, right? They've got Veigar and they've got Jarvan, and if I manage to survive that initial crap, or even if I die and just come back, I might be able to murder Caitlyn or Veigar and help my team win. Here, this is just insane. We got kited to hell and back. And luckily Vayne was able to kill the Jarvan, but unfortunately because of that, she wasn't able to put out the damage on the important characters. So my team just systematically gets picked off here. Vayne, I think Vayne survives. Yeah, Vayne survives. I managed to make it back home to stop the Olaf, who's just very focused on split pushing. She destroys the Olaf pretty much no problem at all, because at this point, he's no longer really relevant other than split pushing. And Veigar and the Caitlyn, for whatever reason, with their super lowish health, try pushing a tower. They will get it, but at the same time, I don't think it was truly worth it because they already got a significant advantage, right? They don't have to be taking these super risks, because any super risk they make that doesn't pay off completely, we're just going to keep coming back. They should just hold out for the rest of their team, group up, and make a huge push with super minions down middle, because we only have one more Nexus tower left. It shouldn't be that hard to take it out. Or they could just wait for the Baron and try to get that. That was rather silly, because now we're able to farm up even more and get even bigger. And at this point, I'm starting to reach that Jax limit, where pretty much I can murder anybody if you just give me a chance. Alright, so now just watch this team fight. It's pretty messy for both sides, but it works out in the end. I'm trying to keep away from Alistair as much as possible. I'm trying to get on top of the Caitlyn and killing her before she guns down any of my team. Veigar can probably blow up anyone on my team, but after that he'll have limited options. Vayne gets caught, but she cleanses it out, but Alistair doesn't go in, so I go in with Shen's ultimate, manage to grab the Caitlyn, and the Alistair actually doesn't do anything properly. He doesn't stop us. So it allows us to run a train on the rest of his team, and we manage to kill Olaf, Caitlyn, and then Veigar, and then we kill the Alistair, and then the Jarvan runs away, and we have to chase him down. I actually tell my teammates for them to go push. Like they say push, 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 and I say I'll defend, because I don't think Echo could push back his super minions as well as I could. Like right now, we can't afford to lose any inhibitor. We gotta prevent the enemy from getting some cheese, right? I'm still afraid of the Olaf split pushing. In team fights, I'm no longer afraid of Olaf, but I am afraid of his teleport. Fortunately for us, they're fighting at this point in all chat, yelling at each other, calling them scrubs. Unfortunately for us, Vayne gets caught. She uses everything she could to escape, to survive, but she still gets picked off. I just try to destroy Caitlyn as much as possible, but I get kited, and even though I have my Guardian Angel, it's not going to be enough. I'm going to die. And I'm going to come back, and I'm going to die again without being able to finish off the Veigar. Veigar survives with just a little bit of health. Caitlyn comes back and guns me down. It's a disaster. How even Echo comes in, but he runs into the stun and is unable to finish anybody off. I do think the Veigar gets a little too close, and he gets cheesed by the Veigar here. Not the Veigar, by the Echo. He got a little too cheeky there, right? He should just cut his losses and backed away. So the enemy is going to make an attempt at Baron that they didn't necessarily need to make, right? They're going to try to force this, and since they've lost the Veigar, and since the Olaf was dicking around somewhere, they didn't have enough damage early on to take it off. And that's actually going to fuck them up so bad. The Olaf was too busy chasing Soraka, and if he had gotten there sooner, they probably would have killed it before the Shen murdered the Caitlyn. They didn't even bother protecting her. So the Vayne got so much free damage onto them that she was able to kill them all. They will secure the Baron, but they all died as a result of their greed. I can't believe nobody protected the Caitlyn. I can't believe the Olaf chased after a Soraka and then just kind of ditched her. It was like they should have just focused the Baron down. Protect the Caitlyn by proxy of standing there and threatening the Vayne through range. Like if the Caitlyn hid behind her teammates, the Vayne wouldn't be brave enough to cross them to gun her down. So Echo initiates on the Veigar, can't finish him off. I time my E so it stuns Veigar as soon as he gets out of his stasis, and we bash his brains in, and then we kill a very easy Olaf. At this point, again, he's so non-threatening. Like, this is the motivation we need. We've made a comeback. Hell, you can even see that we obtained a small gold lead at this point. They can't stop us from taking this inhibitor as much as they want. We have reached our late game. Even if we sucked early game like I did, even if I sucked so much ass that from now on I will be spitting other people's diarrhea out, I am reached late game Jax status where I can breathe and people will die. My Vayne, she can click one button and kill every fatty now. It's fun. So, yeah, Say to Devour. At the beginning, I only chose it because people goaded me into it, and because I thought maybe I'd be able to farm because the game seemed rather uneventful in terms of efficiency. And it bit me in the ass because I didn't stack it up properly quick enough. But now it's working out because we've reached that point of super or mostly late game. Now watch this. The Alistair fails his flash Q. This is huge because now we don't have to worry about his initiation. I don't have to worry about his threat. We don't capitalize on it immediately. So the cooldowns will be back in time for another team fight. But this is a very crucial part. Watch this. Ignore the Olaf. He's not useful anymore. The Alistair goes forward for some reason, and we do so much damage to him for free. We don't get punished for it. Then now he's effectively useless in the fight. He's pretty much been nullified. Jarvan goes in, but he doesn't catch anyone worthwhile until after he takes a ton of damage. I believe he uses his ultimate right when he's about to die. Vayne is able to just go in, destroy the Caitlyn. Even if she dies right now, it's a huge boost to us because we killed their highest damage champion. You already saw Veigar blew his load and couldn't do much beyond that, so he tried to bail. But my team is so beefy and we've gotten late game that there's absolutely nothing he could do to stop us. So, because we stalled it and because we're super late game, we managed to turn this entire game around. So, hooray for team late game, hooray for Say to Devour. For the few times it actually makes sense to build. Yay, Jax.